Hello, I'm David Armstrong and welcome to highlights of the Thrustmaster Australian Formula Master and a Assetto Corsa-based league hosted by RaceDepartment. The second round of the season takes place around the Nurburgring, a flowing track with a variety of corners and a particularly nasty opening turn. Not surprisingly, Sun Levi continued his streak of pole positions, edging out Ben Dowell by 0.15 of a second. In third place, Chris Stacey was more than a second and a half off the front runners, with Evan Spall qualifying in fourth. Once again, Jamie Pyatt and David Armstrong made up the third row of the grid, this time with Pyatt getting the edge over Armstrong. Noel Spence put in a strong time to take 7th place ahead of Michael Stead in 8th. American Fred Locklear also had a very strong result to qualify in 9th position, with Tony Benelli rounding out the top 10 spots. German driver Toby Ketterer would set the 11th fastest time ahead of Justin Talent in 12th. To the race start and off the line, Sun Levi did his trademark move, pulling straight over to cover off second place. However, it quickly became clear that Dowell had a better launch, and before too long he was alongside his main rival. Into turn 1, both cars left plenty of room, but it was Dowell who would succeed with a nice outside pass to take the lead. The rest of the field did well to get through the tricky opening corner cleanly with no contact. However, at turn 3, the first incident kicked off when a minor touch between Benelli and Van Overen resulted in a half spin for Benelli, leaving Machado and Manning nowhere to go as Machado spectacularly rolled his car. At the front, Levi was immediately on the attack, forcing Dowell into the outside line through turn 5, but Dowell stood his ground, keeping in front and forcing Levi to lift through the forward curve. There was little change to the rest of the order through the opening lap. Michael Stead had pipped Noel Spence for 7th, and Justin Talent's great start had him up into 10th. Lap 2, and with a better run out of the final turn, Sun Levi had a healthy run on Ben Dowell. Going side by side, the duo reached turn 1 together with Levi on the inside, but Dowell did a great job carrying his speed through the corner to remain alongside. However, Levi was in the favourable position, and around the outside he completed the pass before quickly moving left to cover off Dowell for turn 3. All the while, Chris Stacey lurking just behind, waiting and hoping for a mistake from the leading pair. Evan Spall was comfortably in 4th ahead of Jamie Pyatt in 5th. Just behind, 6th placed Armstrong was coming under all sorts of pressure from a much faster Michael Stead, who couldn't quite find the room to attempt a pass. In the battle for 8th position, Noel Spence made an unforced error, slipping on the inside of the big curve, while Fred Locklear simultaneously ran wide in distraction. Justin Talent shot the gap, taking full advantage and gaining 2 places to advance into 8th. Locklear would make another mistake on the following lap, putting 2 wheels over the line, losing traction and narrowly avoiding Ashley Cowan as he regained control. Frank Van Overen got alongside and looked to have completed the pass through turn 3, but Locklear kept on the inside, and unfortunately the pair came together, with Van Overen getting the raw end of the deal, spinning off the track and dropping all the way back to 17th. Aidan Keranen was the circuit's next victim, sliding through the tricky turn 3 and coming to an awkward halt on the grass. He would drop down into 16th. In the race lead, Sun Levi had managed to create a small gap back to Ben Dowell, but through the final turn, Levi made an uncharacteristic mistake, running wide onto the grass and allowing Dowell to get right back on his rear wing. Dowell piled on the pressure, keeping Levi very honest as the pair ran nose to tail. Feeling the pressure, Levi messed up his exit out of the chicane, but Dowell followed him right off the track onto the grass and was unable to jump on Levi, who had had a lucky escape. Further back in 6th position, Armstrong was stuck in a sandwich between Jamie Pyatt and Michael Stead. Down into the first turn, Armstrong was able to make a fairly simple pass on Pyatt for 5th, with Stead desperately trying to follow through. Staying alongside the pair very nearly touched into turn 3, but fortunately avoided contact, with Pyatt keeping his 6th place. It would take Stead another lap to dispose of Pyatt, after which he quickly resumed his chase down of Armstrong. Ahead in 4th place, Evan Spall had been enjoying an uneventful race, but he was slowly losing time to Armstrong, and after running wide out of the bit curve, he now had Armstrong closer than ever. Down into the chicane, Spall would have to take the defensive line, but he successfully closed off his rival to maintain position. Unfortunately, a technical issue would force Spall from the race immediately after, missing out on an almost certain points finish. Back at the front of the race, Sun Levi and Ben Dow were continuing their epic duel, with Levi unable to shake off his opponent. Dow was trying everything he could to find a way around, but despite his best efforts, Levi was not giving Dow any opportunities. On lap 11, the fireworks really began to kick off, with Dow getting alongside under braking in the chicane. Levi was forced to leave room, but he held his nerve, keeping a loose grip on the race lead. Dow refused to give up, but was struggling to find any room to make a pass. There were times when the pair came impossibly close, but with Levi making no mistakes, overtaking was always going to be a tall order. A nasty lock-up into turn 1 nearly ended with a spin for Dow, but he kept his car under control, briefly giving Levi a small respite. Meanwhile, Chris Stacey was slowly slipping behind in third position, unable to keep up with the top two, but enjoying a large gap ahead of fourth place. Down in 8th position, Justin Talent was coming under pressure from Noel Spence, with Spence eventually making a clean pass through turn 1. Talent remained on the offensive, but was caught out by Spence's slower speed through turn 3, resulting in a tap to Spence's rear end, while Ketterer in turn tapped the back of Talent. Fortunately, there was little damage, though now under pressure from behind, Talent soon fell victim to Ketterer, with the German making a brave pass into the NGK chicane to take 9th place. Noel Spence continued to charge, and soon he was on the back end of Jamie Pyatt and was able to make an easy pass into the opening corner. But on the next lap, it would all go terribly wrong for Spence, putting his foot down too quickly on the curbing at the final turn, slipping to the right and slamming into the wall, doing serious damage to his front wing and suspension. The fight for first place showed no signs of simmering down, with an unrelenting Ben Dow continuing to hound Sun Levi for the top spot. After several failed attempts, Dow finally got the draft he needed, and combined with a very late braking manoeuvre, he slipped up Levi's inside. Levi saw the move coming, but he tried to switch back too quickly, tapping the rear end of Dow's car in the process and doing minor but significant damage to his front wing. With just a tad less grip on the front end, Levi was no longer able to match the furious pace of his rival, and slowly but surely he began to slip back as Dow ran away with the race lead. Taking an amazing victory, Ben Dow took the checkered flag in first position after a highly eventful race that certainly put him to the test. Sun Levi's winning streak in the Aussie Leagues came to an end, but he still finished in second position, a mere 7 seconds off the race winner. And Chris Stacey was happy to complete a simple and trouble-free race to take the final spot on the podium. Armstrong came home in fourth despite continued pressure from Michael Stead, who drove another strong race to finish in fifth. Toby Ketterer kept his nose clean to finish the race in an impressive 6th position after Jamie Pyatt was involved in an incident on the final lap, dropping him down into 7th. Once again, minor penalties were handed out due to drivers not obeying the track limits. This promoted Jeremy Talbot 2 positions, with a New Zealander classified in 8th. Ashley Cowan would retain 9th place, and Justin Talent was relegated down into 10th, picking up the final points paying position. Aidan Kerrinan came back after a difficult start to finish in 11th, and Fred Locklear rounded out the top 12. To the Drivers' Championship, and Sun Levi has held on to his lead in this series, albeit by only 3 points ahead of Dow in second. With Jakovic out of the series, Stacey is now comfortably up into 3rd place, ahead of Armstrong, who has jumped up into 4th, equal on points with Stead, who remains in 5th. Pyatt is now up into 6th place, and Ketterer's strong result today has jumped him up inside the top 10 for 7th position. Cowan remains in 8th, and after only joining in round 2, Talbot has gone straight into 9th position, with Spence dropping 1 spot to 10th on the ladder. Looking at the team's standings, and Basement Tank Motorsports has jumped into the lead through the combined efforts of Stacey and Armstrong, though they only have a 4-point lead over Pitstop Predators due to Levi's sole efforts, and a 7-point lead over Aurora Racing due solely to Dow's points haul. Further behind, Redshift Racing is in an established 4th position. Avia is now up into 5th, with Slow Motion Racing in 6th and Red Cow in 7th. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation. I'm David Armstrong, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the 3rd round of the Thrustmaster Australian Formula Master.